Collapse needs more than farmers and fighters. Why storytelling, writing, counseling, teaching, and other soft skills still matter in a social collapse. Written and read by yours truly, Oakie McDoakie. Screw-ups and all. Plus this little rasp I've got from a small cold that's hanging around. In Season 2 of The Last of Us, there's a character who surprised me. Gail, a therapist played by Catherine O'Hara. In all my doom and gloom post-apocalyptic daydreaming, I'd never once imagined a therapist practicing in the aftermath. Gunsmith? Sure. Farmer, obviously. Medic? Absolutely. Therapist? Not so much. Yes, The Last of Us is fiction, fine, but the idea stuck. Had I been thinking too narrowly about what roles actually survive collapse? And if so, had I been boxing myself in for no good reason? Because here's the mistake I realized I've been making. The mistake isn't underestimating collapse. It's underestimating how much society survives inside it. For me, that realization came at a convenient time. A few weeks ago, I admitted to myself that I dislike gardening, and that I don't have especially good land or abundant water anyway. I still feel that way. I think I'm done with it, other than maybe some xeriscaping. The jury's still out on the quail, but I definitely don't plan on becoming a poultry farmer. So where does that leave me? I'm not a mechanic, a carpenter, or an electronics tech. I'm not especially handy. What else could I do that would actually be valuable in a collapsing society? It turns out, quite a bit. And one solid option is what I'm already doing, writing. Storytelling, in other words. What's true of writing, it turns out, is true of many other professions and skills we tend to write off as non-essential. That realization came bundled with another one. Collapse doesn't happen all at once, or even completely. Societies don't move overnight from robust to The Last of Us or I Am Legend. In real life, collapse comes in stages. Uneven, partial, and drawn out. And it's rarely evenly distributed. Often, it even halts or reverses before things get as bad as they could be. Think about the collapse of the USSR in the early 1990s. There was real hardship across the former Soviet Union and Eastern Bloc nations, but it wasn't a total unraveling. People still went to school. Gasoline still got refined and sold. Crops still got grown and eventually distributed. Daily life became harder and more uncertain, but it wasn't total chaos. The same pattern showed up in Argentina after its economic collapse in the early 2000s. Parallel currencies emerged. Neighborhood assemblies formed. Informal markets filled the gaps left by failed institutions. Teachers kept teaching. Therapists kept seeing clients. People adapted using the skills and social roles they already had, rather than reinventing themselves wholesale. Even in places routinely described as failed states, social life rarely dissolves into pure chaos. Markets function. Elders mediate disputes. Remittances replace banks. There is law, just not always state law. Life is harder and more precarious, no doubt, but it remains structured. Human needs don't simplify just because governments weaken. If any event should have reduced a society to nothing but farmers and fighters, it was the Black Death. In the mid-1300s, plague killed something like a third of Europe's population in a matter of years. People watched neighbors, family members, priests, and healers die in waves. Authority failed. Knowledge failed. Many were convinced they were living through the end times. And yet, even then, people did not stop making meaning. They prayed, confessed, wrote, sang, argued, recorded what they were seeing, and tried, however imperfectly, to care for one another. The institutions cracked, but the human work of interpretation, consolation, and transmission did not disappear. It intensified. This isn't just comforting self-talk, it's a well-established pattern. Anthropologists and sociologists have been saying this for a long time. And if you want to chase it down, you can see work by Joseph Campbell on myth, Walter Ong on oral cultures, Clifford Geertz on meaning-making, James C. Scott on informal knowledge, or David Graeber on social narratives. When the world stops making sense, stories are how people stitch meaning back together, how they pass on lessons, set boundaries, and remember what kind of people they're trying to be. Just as important, Storytellers help people imagine a future that's different from the present and inspiring. History is full of examples like this. Recently, writers such as Václav Havel and Czeslaw Milosz spoke to entire societies living inside the long decline of the Soviet sphere. They weren't offering tactical advice or survival manuals. They offered language, ways of naming reality clearly when public truth was distorted or forbidden. Long before those systems finally gave way, people were already using words like theirs to orient themselves inside a failing order. The storytellers, it turned out, were doing practical work all along. And of course, storytellers make a living at it along the way. Maybe not much of a living, but they eat. Once you start looking for it, storytellers aren't an anomaly. They're part of a bigger pattern. In every collapsing society, a wide range of social roles that could be dismissed as non-essential stubbornly hang on. Not because they're luxuries, but because they solve problems that didn't go away when the infrastructure weakened. People still need teachers, even when schools are underfunded or held in someone's backyard. Knowledge has to be passed forward somehow, or a bad situation gets worse fast. They still need therapists, counselors, priests, or trusted listeners of some kind, because chronic fear, grief, and anger don't regulate themselves. They still need elders and mediators to resolve disputes before they turn violent. And yes, they still need storytellers. People who notice what's happening, remember what's been tried before, and help others orient themselves in the middle of uncertainty. Which brings me back to myself. I don't need to become a gunsmith or a master gardener to be useful. I don't need to organize a commune or run meetings, which is damn good because I've never been a joiner. I can stay where I am, observant, peripheral, rooted, writing, helping when and where I can, at human scale. It makes perfect sense that even therapists get their daily weed in the apocalypse. Gail isn't just a writer's gimmick to give Joel someone to talk to. The people in Jackson Hole really need her, or someone like her, because surviving isn't just about staying alive. It's about staying human and staying together. A collapsed society isn't a blank slate. It's a stressed one. And stressed societies don't ask everyone to become the same kind of person. They ask us to embrace the value of different temperaments, skills, and different ways of contributing. If a severe collapse comes here to North America, it won't need all of us to be farmers or fighters. It will also need people who can help others understand what's happening, remember what still works, and imagine a future that's worth building. Together. Collapse doesn't boil society down to farmers and fighters. It shows everyone who actually mattered all along. If you like this, you can tip me on ko-fi.com/Oakie McDoakie or follow me on Substack and the socials. Just go to OakieMcDoakie.com. Until next time, don't let the bastards wear you down.